The psychology of Ghost in power. Ghost is smart, witty, rational, pragmatic, and very good at finding success in both the streets and legit businesses. Ghost was born in 1980 and raised by his father. His mother was absent for some reason we don't know about. His father was a businessman who owned nightclubs, but one day he was killed by some drug dealers while James was still young. So James moved in with his friend Tommy Egan. Tommy's mother had little to no money and was struggling financially, and so to fend for themselves, they started selling drugs and became affiliated with Kanan and Breeze, two more experienced drug dealers who mentored them about the game. They were taught the game in the streets and how to move. James quickly became good at it and gained the alias Ghost for being able to sell drugs and disappear before the police could catch him. Ghost realized that being at the bottom wasn't for him, and he set his sights for the top. He felt within that he had the potential to be the biggest drug dealer in New York. His first step was to kill Breeze, his own mentor, who he saw as a liability. Kanan understood and took over. James grew up a bit and found 3 kids with Tasha, Tariq, Raina, and Jasmine. Tasha wanted to see Ghost become the biggest drug dealer in New York, just as much as he did. But Ghost realized early on that any person who is in your way to the top needs to be eliminated. So they conspired to take Kanan out. Ghost didn't want to kill Kanan out of love, so they set him up to go to prison, which succeeded. And with him out of the way, Ghost gained more power, while Tommy being his right-hand man. This was the start of Ghost's journey to do whatever is necessary to make it to the top position. His brain quickly turned to make his money legit, and taking inspiration from his dad, he opened a nightclub called Truth, which became very successful. A behavior of Ghost that becomes extremely prominent is murder. We are aware that Ghost has killed at least 21 people. Many of them may have been deserved. For example, Milan, who was a Serbian drug lord who forced James back into the game after he tried to leave and threatened the lives of his family. Ghost decided the only way to escape this was to end the life of Milan, which he did. Although Ghost is logical 90% of the time, he couldn't hold his emotions against a prison marshal who verbally and physically abused Ghost while in prison. More often than not, Ghost used murder as a pure means of business and protection, willing to kill anyone he deemed a threat. Another of Ghost's apparent tactic is to use others as much as he can for his own advantage. Everyone Ghost encounters, he finds useful, whether it's people in business, legal system, investors, politicians, or other gang members. Ghost will find a way to use them to his advantage, even if it leads to their demise. He doesn't care much about the feelings of others. For a long time, Ghost was able to navigate using his traits of lying and manipulation, something we see not only in his romantic relationships, but almost every relationship he's a part of. He lies as long as it gains him an advantage and manipulates to ensure things go his way. For a long while, it was though Ghost could do no harm to everyone else without having to endure much suffering himself. And he knew this, and perhaps this contributed much to his arrogance. That is until his bad deed caught up with him, and the one he loves, resulting with the death of his daughter Raina. Raina's death changed James. He thinks killing the man responsible will ease his pain, but Tariq gets there first, killing for the first time. He breaks down at her funeral, apologizing for not being able to protect her. He plans to start a Queen's Child project, a building in remembrance to Rayner along with Councilman Rashad Tate. He murders Terry Silver, a lawyer who was sleeping with his wife, Tasha, out of pure rage. He and Tommy begin to fall out more and more as time goes on, leading to disagreement becoming a common occurrence. It gets so bad to the point Tommy actually shoots her and kills her, making him feel responsible for Angela's death. His last resort comes from being a political running mate to the opponent of Rashad Tate, cementing himself in politics and distancing himself from crime. However, his violence and other sins catch up to him when Tariq confronts him and expresses his hate for him for leaving his family, and he shoots him in the chest, killing him. Ghost lived a complicated life, experiencing the highest of highs and having a downfall all the way to his untimely death. His split personality can be exhausting. You can think of it like Bruce Wayne and Batman. Bruce Wayne is just a guy who is rich off his parents' funds and doesn't care much of the world other than his mansion. Batman is a man of the people, whose core values are protecting the city, stopping bad people by any means necessary. James constantly battles living with two different lives, wanting to fully become legitimate, but never being able to fully leave the streets. He was so good at being Ghost that abandoning the life was not an easy process. He wants Angela and doesn't care that Tasha or the kids will be hurt by this. He wants to maintain a good image, but doesn't care if he's being manipulative to investors and politicians. He's a murderer, but plays the role of a good citizen as a disguise, while he does really well due to his manipulative nature. Ghost understood early on that being hot-headed and emotional in decision-making can lead to recklessness and regret of actions or words. So most of the time, Ghost is completely detached from his emotions, never connecting himself 100% to anyone or anything. It allows him to be strategic and make moves when the time is right. Rarely does he make reckless decisions in the spur of the moment. Only on rare occasions can it overwhelm him, for instance, with the prison marshal. Let's say 90% of the time he maintains his logic and pragmatism. Ghost shows signs of severe egotism, an egomaniac. He has an inflated sense of self-importance, and he believes he is superior to others. This can lead to a disregard for the feelings and needs of others, and a tendency to manipulate and exploit those around them for his own gain. Ghost at the heart does care only about himself, his own goals and desires. Ghost has genuine street credibility. His name holds a lot of weight. He is a man of action. He gets female attention, he's in good shape, and has great people skills. He fantasizes about success and power, and manipulates and lies to make sure he achieves them. He takes advantage of people's love for him. He cheats on Tasha while acting loyal to her face. Kenan was his mentor who taught him the rules of the game before Ghost set him up. He makes Tommy do the dirty work for him while he distances himself from the consequences, only doing it himself when it's absolutely necessary. His desire for power rules supreme above all else, willing to use Machiavellian strategies such as cunning and whatever necessary to gain political power. He seems to have studied the 48 laws of power due to implementing a lot of the strategies available in that book. Machiavellian leaders maximize their personal power, which Machiavelli encourages leaders to lie, manipulate, and use coercive persuasion to serve their own needs. Moral and ethical standards do not matter to Machiavellians. They focus on money and power and competition. Machiavellians engage in flattery, deceit, coercion, and can be very abusive, displaying narcissistic tendencies and egos. People who follow this Machiavellian way are committed to winning above all else. Nothing else matters to them but their own desires. So this is the dark psychology of Ghost. He's a man of action, a man who is willing to do anything necessary to achieve his goals.